Hey, can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. Hey, can you guys hear me? Sweet. Thanks for joining, everybody. This is my very first stream. So let me know if volume's weird or the stream is weird. We're gonna figure it out together. Hey, can you guys hear me? Let me hold my stuff. Sweet. Thanks for joining, everybody. This is my very first stream. So let me know if volume's weird or the stream. Okay. All right. Today we're going to be making a lane defense game. I'm excited. I'm excited to prototype with y'all. I'm going to go from absolute start, hopefully, to a published game. So first thing is I'm going to make a Git repo. And we can make it from a template from Airship. So let me grab that. Oh, I'm going to do it from Git repo though. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I'm going to create a new repo. Call this lane defense. Oh, not public. Oh, geez. Well, I'll change that later. I personally like using SourceTree to manage my Git repos. So I'm going to add a new repo. Oh wait, clone. There we go. Alright, just gonna take this, paste it here. Ooh, I wonder if I should put up my keystrokes. Maybe that would be helpful for people. Okay, I'll turn up my mic. Yeah, let me figure that out. Testing, why is it so quiet? Testing, testing. Do I have to be super close? Sorry for the snaps. just gonna change mics. Is it a little better? Ah, okay. Well, if this works, we can keep it still a bit quiet. Yeah. I have like and it's supposed to be a nice mic, but I think it's very directional. It's like I have to talk straight into it. Yeah, maybe I'm just gonna switch. Okay, I just switched to a different mic, so let me know if this is better. It hurts your ears. Uh-oh. Okay, well I'm gonna go for this, at least while I just set up the project. Okay, get Unity loading. Then I'm gonna make a new game here. You can see all my test games. Create game. Great. Sounds the same. I wonder if it's always been coming out of my webcam then. Okay. I wish next time I'll test this before I go live. Sorry about this. Well, maybe that did it. Yeah, I just switched it. I was switching it on my PC, but now I just switched it on OBS, so hopefully that does it. You're in a bucket? What does that mean? Does it like have tons of static or something? Reverb. Oh, jeez. I definitely didn't add reverb or anything, so that's super strange. Oh, I think maybe, let's see, is this any better? It looked like it was using the microphone twice. Okay, well, I'll have to just go forward with this. Hopefully it's not too annoying for people. Okay, talking about the game, I had y'all vote. Nothing changed. Okay, bummer. I had y'all vote on what concept to go with, and we're going to go with a lane defense. Very similar to Plants vs. Zombies. The change that I'm going to do is we'll have a level where enemies walk towards your base that you're protecting. But rather than just using the mouse and clicking and dragging, you're actually going to have a character that can move around freely. And so to place turrets, you will have to walk to the space and actually build it. I don't have a clear concept of what the theme is going to be, but I'm thinking that it's going to be personified animals that are feeding the incoming hangry enemies. So I was thinking the turrets could be something that delivers food, and the creatures could each have powers based on producing food. This is the hydration shark. But before I even really need a theme, the first goal is to get something playable. So I'm going to have a character running around, placing turrets, enemies walking towards the base. Alright, let me know, y'all, if you want me to switch to the other mic. The lore that I'm starting with here is an evil wizard wants to be king. So cast a spell making all of the villagers hungry. These hangry creatures make their way to the castle in a blind rage. The queen gathers the best farmers in all the land to stop them with foods. Okay, I'll go back. Okay, this should be the previous mic. And I'll see if I can get it to not have static. Okay, I'll have to look more later. Yeah, okay. So, what is the first step? The first step is going to make sure that this game can publish and is playable. So I just installed the template into my own Git repo. I opened it up in Unity. Let's see what happens when I hit play. Character running around. Nice. Now I'm going to make sure I can hook it up to my game that I made on the Create page. So let's go to the game config, Spirit Boost Games, Lane Defense, publish. Newfie, maybe I'll add some mega reverb next time I stream, just for you. I do think I'm going to make this game 2D. I feel like we haven't seen much 2D on Airship yet, and that means that I could use my drawings, at least temporarily, for the artwork. I don't know if any of you have played Castle Crashers, but that is a game I really enjoyed and has like a simple, quirky style. Here's Castle Crashers. So I imagine the movement like this, where the characters run around at a very arcadey fast speed, but rather than hack and slash, you know, you're building towers. So while this is publishing, I think I will start setting up one of my scripts. Or at least my folder structure. So the movement here should be pretty simple. It's just going to be fixed speed movement. Do I want to use... So I have a couple options here. I could use the default airship movement and just change some of the variables. Maybe I'll do that, because then we can do server auth movement without me having to manually code that. So I think for the actual movement, we can just use airship. And then we will just have to program the interactions. The first publish of your game takes significantly longer than the rest. So let's see. folders for my turrets. Sweet, my game published. Yeah, I haven't. So someone mentioned hitting enemies as the character. I haven't decided if you can actually directly interact with the enemies. I do think that would be fun, but it should probably have a very minor effect, where the turrets are much more effective. Because I want it to be more about building a base than direct hand-to-hand combat. Just logging in right now. Do I see it? Oh, right, it doesn't have an icon yet. Here's lane defense. Ta-da! Okay, published game. Good, we have the whole flow. Now let's make something. Alright, I am going to start out making the character controller. Create Airship. There should be a way to generate, oh yeah, character variant. I'm going to do LD as the working title. Nice. Although I believe if you do that, it actually made a character variant of the client auth movement. So I am going to manually make a variant from this, create prefab variant, name it D, move it to my folder. Okay, there we go. I always like to add a graphic just to make sure I'm using my variant. Okay. There's a whole bunch of things we don't need in the movement system. Don't need auto crouch, don't need step up, don't need flying, probably don't even need gravity. Don't need to prevent wall clipping or step ups. No. Okay. Set up a little test level here. Instead of using the default camera rig, I'm going to set up my own camera rig. Let's pick our floor plane. So for now, we'll say that is the playing field. This is where the enemies will spawn. And this is the base that we are defending. I do like the idea of having the grid visible, so I'm going to show you an easy way to make a grid. Let's see, what do I want? How many lanes? 5? What does Plants vs. Zombies do? Oh, they do a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When in doubt, copy something that works. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Add an easy grid align. Center. 6 lanes. I'll make them the right size in a second. Oh, it's clipping with the flooring. There we go. Gives us something to start with. Let's go to camera, where we can see all the lanes. Oh, pools get 6. Oh, I just happened to jump to the pool level. Okay, I'm gonna start with 5 then. Ooh. Rebuild. Great. I think. What do I want to build first? I'll make sure I can walk around, but then I think I might make an enemy that roams to the base first. but I should make sure we can run around. So right now I'm not going to worry about like character direction or anything because I'm probably going to make 2D sprites. Although we do want the camera to follow it, but I can do that later. All right, let's get an enemy. That sounds fun. That'll be base. Capsule so we can see it. So the idea is that different enemy types will spawn by some sort of level generator. They will move on their own and interact with things, but each enemy will behave differently. So there will be a base enemy controller, which is like the global logic that the level spawner will spawn. But then it will have its own components that handle things like movement, hit detection, because those can be different per enemy type. So I will start by making the base enemy logic. Airship TypeScript file. I tend to like having what I call a friendly name, where you can always print out some nice message of what it is. We're going to have, let's see. Really, the level spawner will just spawn it and then it'll handle its own update loop. The most basic one will just walk forward. Let's do So I'm not going to use the real physics engine. There's really no reason to use rigid bodies with forces since nothing is going to interact physically. I'm going to be doing all my own collision checks. So rather than doing fixed update to modify rigid bodies, I'm just going to start by moving it at some speed. And this is per second. So 1 unit per second. Transform. So every frame we're going to move it by the move speed times how much time has actually elapsed. That's what this is. And when it gets to the end, it will attack the base. So I'm just going to making a visual real quick. Dun. Okay. On our enemy, I need to attach a rigid body because it's a moving collider. But I believe it can even be kinematic. And I'm going to add enemy base and enemy movement. Now to save this as an instance that I can reuse over and over, I need to make it a prefab. I don't really want to call this a zombie. I'm going to call it lane mover. So I'm going to have a generic prefab that all enemies inherit from, and then I can make variants for each individual type. Alright, so now we gotta spawn this enemy in. So let's make some game logic in the code. Spawner will be responsible for generating things during the level. For right now, I'm just going to do a enemies per minute, per second, per minute. Sure. Greater than next spawn time. This dot spawn. Spawn. This dot next spawn. This time plus. And then wait. Okay, so let's make an enemy equals instantiate this template, just the this transform This is a common pattern I use just for organizing my variables. Templates are the things that exist in your project, like a prefab. References are things that exist in the scene, like a transform in the scene. And variables are just your own variables that you're going to change within this script. Okay, so we're going to spawn an enemy, parent it to this transform, but we're going to place it at a random spot around the spawn zone. Spawn zone dot position plus vector. One. Okay, what did I do wrong Oh, yeah. In TypeScript, we can't actually use these modifiers. We have to use a function different than C#. Okay, so random gives us a 0 to 1. Times 2 minus 1 is from negative 1 to 1 in every direction. Don't actually want to change the y though. And we want it to be snapped to lanes, but this will be fine for now. Let's just see if we can get them in here. Alright, game logic. Get this out of the way. Alright, so for camera, level, game logic. It's going to be 0, 0. These should be 0, 0. Let's add our level logic. Weird bug, sometimes this doesn't click. I just jump to another tab and back and then it works. Not sure what that bug is. So I'm going to add my template here, which is going to be my lane mover prefab. I'm going to find the transform for where I want to spawn things. I should have named these. Spawn zone. Base zone. Alright, let's see what happens. Hey, enemies are spawning. Ah! They even pushed me. That's cool. Alright, but they're just going to keep going on forever. Let's spawn them into a lane. And I think I'll have some sort of level logic that interacts with the actual grid. So I'm going to make a new script called level controller. This will just have some helper functions for interacting with the terrain. So I'm going to do get random lane. And we'll say position will be, will not care about that. I guess we'll just do the Z. I don't need to make it that complicated. Okay, take a random number times the number of lanes, that would be 0 to 5. Floor it. So this basically gives us an index of what lane we're at. But then we would convert that into an actual world space position. Get lane. So looking at my map here, it's centered around the origin. So the first lane, we'll call this lane 0, is actually negative in the Z. It's towards the camera. So we'll do what's the math here? Number of lanes divided by 2 will give you I'm blanking on this math here. If I want to take 0 to 5 and convert it to negative 2.25 to 2.25. Can do index. Well, they're all one grid unit size. If I'm making everything one unit, I could actually just use the index. That would give me a 0 to 1 range. No, I don't even need to do that. Okay. It's going to be index minus number of lines divided by 2. A very convenient thing in Airship is that we have Airship singletons. So if you want yours to be a singleton, meaning there's just going to be one of it and anything can access it, you just make it extend the singleton. So now my level spawner can actually just grab level controller get random lane position. We'll see if that works. Compiled. Looks almost right. What's wrong? So they're all spawning on the bottom of the lane. Well, let's make sure my grid is correct here. My grid had some padding on it, which I don't actually want. There we go. And they seem to all be spawning on the actual edge of the grid rather than the center. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so then I just add 0.5. There we go. Enemies walking down a lane. So now I want to make them stop moving if there's a target in front of them. Right now I'm not going to make it where the player can be attacked, but that could be possible in the future. So right now the only thing they will detect is the base. There's two ways that I could do this. I could make it grid-based, where it just detects what tile it's in, what grid space it's in, and check the grid space in front of it. Or I could do an actual physics cast, like a box cast, to see if anything is within its attack range. And I think I'm going to do that because I'm not confident that I'm going to lock everything to the grid specifically. Like when you place turrets, it'll probably be locked to the grid, but there could be attacks or effects or special items that are not locked to the grid. It's like grid-based is cool because it's really cheap and easy to know when things are occupied or not. But I was even looking at Plants vs. Zombies, and Plants vs. Zombies will have like attacks that go diagonal, which you can't really do well in grid-based. So I'm at least going to start with just doing physics checks. Can always change it later. So for them to detect what they're running into, I'm going to have the concept of an entity. And an entity is just going to be anything on the board that has health. And that will include your base, the character, enemies, turrets, destructible terrain. And so the enemies, if they have hit detection, will just check to see if there's an entity in range. And if it is, it'll stop its movement system and start its attack system. Okay. So let's make the base entity. I'm gonna put it here. I'm naming a lot of things controller. I tend to make controllers that handle all the logic of something, and then make views, which just handle the graphics. So like there'll be a health controller, which manages the actual logic of taking damage or healing, and then it just passes that along to a view, which will update the actual UI sprites or whatever. So an entity controller will have a health object. So where's our base? Our base needs an entity controller. Ooh, I think we can do. How do I do this here? I've actually never used the required in TypeScript, so I'll have to look up how to do that. Okay, health controller. Sign up for reference. Also going to say that entities need rigid bodies for the collision detection. That will be easiest. graphics at this root level, so I'm going to delete it and make a cube inside. Health controller will have max health. Just some basic health logic. Oh, thank you, Corey. Nice. Okay. Now for the hit detection. So after everything moves, which is why I'm doing lay update, I don't know if I should do this in the enemy base, or if each one will potentially have its own collision detection. But for now, I'll just put it here. Do a box cast all in case there are overlapping targets. So I'm just going to check a one grid unit box in front of the enemy. So it'll be this transform dot position, add vector 0, 0, 1. And the size will be, what? Oh man, it's already 10. I'm gonna have to wrap up soon. This first stream is just an hour, and then I gotta go work on airship stuff. But I'll try to get this box cast done first. Oh, we don't need a box cast, we just need an overlap. Oh, thanks, Luke. Direction, orientation. going to give me a list of everything that we hit. Just realized I'm in the entity, not the enemy. So I'm going to move this logic over. There we go, enemy base. Okay, theoretically, if it detects anything in front of it, it will disable its movement, and the movement update loop will stop. However, this will happen even if there's just another enemy in front of it. So I need to make it ignore the enemies. And we do that with layer masks. Check out our layers now to make sure the enemies can be on a different layer. Just to ignore collision. And then in their logic, I'm going to say we hit default. Stencil masks will be the characters, the local character. You could just do everything and then choose what not to. Let's try that. Enemy, our lane mover. Attempted index nil with game object, which means I'm trying to use something that it doesn't actually have a reference to. Which makes sense because I added this reference to a movement script, but I didn't assign it. Another way to do that, if you know that it's going to be there, would be this stop movement equals get airship component. If it's a required component, you can do this to force it. If not, it's possible to be null, so you'll want to check for that. But I'm just going to do this. Same thing. So this is in the enemy base. Late update, nil if game object. So that could be this, or it could be, yeah, it's probably this. So colliders can be just colliders in the space then they're static, which means they won't have a rigid body, or they could be dynamic objects which have rigid bodies. So this is just a way to get whatever is the highest level object. If collider dot attached rigid body, and I think what's happening is that the enemies are detecting the lanes colliders, which they don't really need colliders on them, but we can still account for that. Yeah, there we go. So they're hitting the floors and the grid cubes. But they're not stopping. And I'm saying if there's any colliders, movement is enabled. I actually want the opposite of that. If there are no colliders, you can move. Okay. I'm going to take all of the level except for the base and set it to ignore collision. No enemies? Let's check it out. Compiler error. I often forget this one. In Airship, it does not support double equals. Gotta use the triple equals. There we go. Hey, they hit the base and they stop. Yay, something functional. Alright, I have to wrap it up there so I can go work on Airship more. Next time I will deal with dealing damage and receiving damage. So I will make the enemies attack the base and destroy it, so that we can actually go from playing the game to having a lose condition. And then after that, I can get into actual interacting with enemies. So thank you everybody for watching this and helping me figure out how to do it. I will probably set up a weekly time to do streams, at least for an hour, with the possible occasional late night longer streams. So stay tuned. I appreciate it. See you guys.